How are we doing? How are we doing? It's been a crazy few days for me. We'll get into it. I got some dice here. It's a preview of things to come. How are the 3 podcast sets? Yeah, we'll get into it, but 2 out of 3 done, basically. 2 out of 3. Basically, just have to figure out what this week's headlines are. The other 2 are done, but I don't know what the heck's happened the past couple of days. So I got to dig through headlines, see if there's anything worth talking about after the Game Awards. How am I on this Monday? Well, it's Tuesday, so doing pretty good for Monday, I guess. Alright, we'll take that music out entirely now so we can focus on today. Let's get that schedule going first. Let's just get this out of the way. Pop that schedule in there. Come on, XSplit. Work with me here. Boom. There we go. Oh, Amanda did VO for Crisis Core. Not surprised, since she was in Remake. Good stuff. Swordfish, thank you for the resub. But, yeah, let's see what's happening. Don's Discount Gaming. Yeah, so special, like, bonus episodes. So it's a little weird because I saw some people that were like, oh, I'm going to be disappointed if it's not like a normal episode. It's like, well, they're not like normal episodes. They are definitely bonus Don's Discount Gaming episodes, but they are good stuff. They're with Don. Today is kind of a spin-off of his previous episode. And You'll scum, there's a problem with chat. I always get interrupted with what I'm saying. And You'll scum reminded me of something. I did check the P.O. box last week. I didn't have anything, but I'm going to try to get there. I guess I need to try to get there today. So try to get to the P.O. box, which would probably be the last chance for me to get to the P.O. box before holiday break. Second, though, you mentioned Kyle, the location of a Gundam intercept for Kyle. And the problem is, Kyle was just there. And we've got like a box or 2 of stuff for Kyle that I completely forgot to make sure that he got. So that box of stuff or 2 for Kyle that's been there for like 2 years now. Are still there. There's always next year's TGAs. Yep. To forget. Hope no one sent him food. Oh my gosh. And I'm not gonna remember to like even like try to get it shipped out. I want like if I asked him, he would probably. But this is the thing with Kyle. I don't know like how to even give it to him because I feel like with Kyle, if we had given it to him there, or even if I just ask him for his address, he's just gonna tell me to throw it away without any idea what it is or who it came from. Oh, anyways. Dang it. So at some point I have to try to get his address. But I don't know if he'll have me send it. I don't know. Anyways, back to Don. Yeah, so bonus episodes of Don Discount Gaming. This one, if you saw the End of Days Deals episode, you saw the guy shooting the Time Crisis guns and being all cool about it. This is a really cool interview with him. His name's Eddie Esquera, I think. And just goes into all the backstory, how he got into Time Crisis, how he got into doing all the showmanship and stuff. Goes places you probably wouldn't expect. But it's a good time. And a nice, just getting somebody like that in to chat. because we always see these kinds of people at the arcades, right? The person that's like is perfection on DDR and is like using both pads but never even looking at the screen and all that kind of thing. Um, this is essentially one of those guys drawing the crowds, and yeah, really cool to just even to have like the thought and the courage to go up and talk to this guy and say, hey, um, you know, you want to be on a show on the internet and give me some other footage you might have and all that kind of thing. So pretty nice stuff. Pretty nice stuff. And then we got the Hangout that's happening right now. Got Community Showcase with Huber later this afternoon. We got the Hall of Shame, which is gonna happen last week, but then um, basically nobody was ready, and we had schedule issues. So um, Damiani was at the Forspoken preview event, and that was going longer. I kind of had a hunch because he was thinking that he might cut out early, and I'm like, well, I don't know. Once you start playing the game, you might not want to cut out early. And then Huber was given a lot of extra responsibilities on Game Awards, so he had more than he bargained for. Um, I know some people were saying, like, thinking that like he was working for Samsung there or something. I think he worked with Samsung for part of what he was doing, but that was like not his primary thing. His primary thing was working for the Game Awards, and then he had to clear some water after the doors opened, and I happened to catch him right then and got a bottle of water. Like, take a water. Like, okay, okay. But yes, Hall of Shame is tonight. I've got my pick. Um, it'll be fun. Only thing I'll say about my pick is it's old footage, so unfortunately you'll have to bear with very low res footage, but we'll just have to go with it. Achieve It Yourself tomorrow. That season has been going strong. If you're not caught up on Achieve It Yourself, make sure you do so. Um, we know Darkened Sky. No, Darkened Sky. I mean, the one thing I can definitely say about Darkened Sky is if we brought that back to Hall of Shame, you would have nice looking footage. Because that game, not that it's a good looking game, but I think with the retro tink and everything in 480p, like it looks on the streams, it looked pretty good. It looked as good as you could get it. Um, yeah, I really was happy with how that looked out, how that turned out when we did that for the streams. Ray tracing. I remember them talking about ray tracing back on Perfect Dark. I'm curious to go back and read those articles someday and like, what the crap were you talking about ray tracing? What the crap were you talking about? Maybe on an N64 you don't need that much processing power to ray trace. Or maybe they ray traced on the Silicon Graphics machines and then like pre-baked the lighting in on the textures. I don't know. Podcast live taping will be Wednesday, not Tuesday. It was Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Um, but yeah, the first podcast will be live. The other two will not be. At one point, I was thinking of having like Twitch chat in the Love and Respect episode, but at this point, I think we're fine. I think we have enough submissions. We don't need to worry about having that thrown in the mix as well. So you won't be getting any early spoilers on the other things that are going on. Let's see what Screaming Argonaut says. Um, oh, M&M's games. Oh yeah, there's definitely M&M's games. Yeah, absolutely. And they're very clearly M&M's games too. Trash babies. Get your trash baby. Oh, this is a fun one. This is, I don't know where this thing came from, how this thing came up. Oh my gosh, what a game. What a mess of a game. but oddly, oddly ambitious. I'll just put it that way. Oddly ambitious mess of a game, and it's a sequel. Oh, there's your teases. Brad's Gundam construction finally happening. That Gundam we got from the Easy Chillin' fundraiser. You're gonna see that thing being built this Thursday. Um, it's gonna, it's gonna take place of his hangout as well because that's basically it. Who's on Trash Babies? I mean, I'm on Trash Babies. Isla's on Trash Babies. I don't remember who else. I don't remember who else. I'm sorry. Off the top of my head, I don't recall. And then yeah, we got your Patreon and public releases of the podcast and the easy update, which I'm not sure which easy update is this week, but there's some good ones there too. Amateur Gundam construction. All right, let me get this schedule out of here. That did not work. Let's try again. Uh-oh. There it is. Froze for a second. If you saw that freeze, that was on my end. XSplit is oddly heavy sometimes. Mm-mm-mm. What game would I replace from the GOTY nominations and add myself? Well, I would not add myself for any GOTY nominations. I do not deserve the Game of the Year award. However, um, it's a little strange because I have not played it. I got a code from MinMax from Trivia Tower, but I have not played Stray yet. But I feel like Stray is the weird one. I feel like Stray is the weird one. Because I think if it were. But the weird thing about it, okay, if it were not a game about a cat, I don't think it would have stood out. But then if it were not a game about a cat, it would not be that game. Just straight up, like, you wouldn't. Like, that's what that game is. Like, so, I don't know. But I do think that is the weird one to me. But I think it's sort of a tribute to um, the diversity of really fantastic indie games that we have had this year, and not just indie games, but kind of like not quite AAA, right? Like stuff that's not getting the crazy millions and millions behind it. Um, that like how do you whittle that down when you have so many different games scratching so many different itches, right? And that's why the cat thing stands out because it's like, oh, there's a lot of cat lovers out there. Whereas like a lot of these other games also scratch, you know, one niche or another. And it's like, well, some people played Neon White, some people played Arcade Paradise, some people played Rogue Legacy 2. And getting that mass, the aggregate mass of outlets, it's a hard thing for an indie game to break through when there are already so many good indie games, and Vampire Survivors, right? Like Vampire Survivors hit early in the year, apparently. I didn't even hear about it. And then when it came out on like 1.0 release, that's when our guys got tuned in. And I think that was after we voted, essentially. So that's what I mean. Indie is sometimes it's people are like, well, oh, it's like the boring AAA games are the ones that get nominated. It's like, well, no, it's just they're the games that the most people have played, including the critics. And oftentimes, they're the ones that are most likely to have either gotten multiple copies out there for more people on staff to play, or there's just more people on staff that were going to play them anyways because they're big fans, right? So that's kind of how it goes. It's as much of a quality contest as a popularity contest, but yeah. Um, let's see, trying to catch up with chat here. Did I meet any celebrities there? Yeah, let me get into my Game Awards talk here in a sec. I'm just trying to catch up on chat. But I mean, just celebrities in general, it's kind of hard for me to, because it's going to be like, well, who do you count as a celebrity? But I mean, and like they're also, yeah, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but just to answer the question, there are people there that I was like, I could have introduced myself to, and I just didn't because I don't know why. Because I didn't feel like I had a thing to say to them in specifically, or that I'm not wasn't cool enough, or whatever. I don't know. Because I could have walked up and talked to Christopher Judge, or I could have walked up and talked to Freya's voice actor, or like I was right next to Grant Kirkhope for a minute as he was talking to somebody else, and I just didn't. And that even goes for like, you know, people that are like in circles of my friend group that I just haven't really met before, like Alana. Like I should know Alana, but I don't. And so it's like, do I walk up and introduce myself to Alana? She probably has an idea who I am. We probably talked on Twitter or something, but when you're dealing with crowds of people, rooms full of people that like that, it's like yeah. It's like any little hesitation sometimes can stop you when there's like somebody else ready to have a conversation. Um, mm-mm-mm. But Slideaway is getting an entirely different conversation here. But yeah, let me talk about Game Awards stuff. Is this Cup of Blood? Basically. Um, but yeah, so there are a couple of things. First, the night before was an AIAS, Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences. Nobody's going to know what that acronym means. The Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences, who are the folks that put on DICE and those awards. They had a gallery, the Game Maker's Sketchbook Gallery downtown, um, coordinated by I Am 8-Bit, and and that was the night before that they did the opening. And it's still, I think it's still open right now. I think you can still go and check out the work. But anyways, so they have that, and um, and I decided to go check it out because I figured there'd be people there, be a good chance to talk to some people, and that was great. That was a nice little warm up because um, Andrea was there. John Gibson, of course, from I Am 8-Bit was there, so talked to him for a while. I got to meet Zalavier Nelson, who is an indie developer that I've talked to a few times before or not talked to, talked about a few times on the podcast and stuff. He's a really entertaining guy to follow on Twitter or TikTok. He puts out some good, like thoughtful conversations or just funny anecdotes and things like that. But we had never met before, and so we both had a blast. Complimented me on my jacket of all things. Was not expecting that. With all the fashion talk going around and the people dressing up. But yeah, he's the one making Sunshine Shuffle. Gave me some poker chips for me and Huber. Let me see here. It's not going to show up well on this cam. It's not going to focus. But anyways, that one looks a little better. Yeah, I think the other one's just too white for the light. But he also did an airport for aliens currently run by dogs, which is basically how I got to know his work. But then he's worked on all kinds of other stuff like Skatebird, and he worked on El Paso Nightmare, something that came out like around October. There was like a little surprise game, but yeah, but he likes the jacket, and but no, this guy, um, he's a really great guy to talk to, and he's also like super social, I guess. Like like I talked to him for like 5 minutes, and then immediately is like, "Have you met this person? Have you met this person? Has you met this person?" So he would just like he would introduce me to a person. I would have a conversation with them, and then he would like come back over and would introduce me to somebody else, and I have a conversation with them. And yeah, and it was cool. So I got to meet some guy making a guy named John Borders, who's working on a game basically to teach you about government, where you like have to like set up your own campaign and go through all of that and learn and like it. He also wants it to be like an Oregon Trail kind of a thing, so you can see how much you're learning as you go along. So that was fun. And then I met two guys from the team working on Pacific Drive. Talked to them for a while. And then who else was there? There were so many people, even at the small gallery thing. But the small gallery was great because, oh, Echo was there from Outer Loop. So talked to him for a while. That was cool because I had met him at GDC a few years back when he was doing Falcon Age. Phil Harmonic, thank you for the sub. And but I didn't know a lot about him, and so I think we were starting the conversation we were having was like just on like he was trying to I think he was talking to somebody else about like where they were like relative distances to things from Seattle, and then relating it to distances between places in LA. And then like I was basically like learned that like before he started up his indie studio, like back in the day, like 20 years ago, like he was working with a LA studio that was like a Bethesda office out here in LA. And then after that, he was like working on the Matrix games and stuff. And so I was like, I didn't know like his history went that far back, And that was like one of the funny things, it was like going around and talking to people, and I was like, oh yeah, we're all old, aren't we? We're all realizing how old we are. Um, um, Met a guy named Min, I think, who was talking to John Gibson for a while, but I didn't catch like what studio is with or whatever. But we had a lot of good conversation. Um, uh, but yeah, so the gallery was cool because it was just a small room. Like the room was probably smaller than my apartment, right? Like, and there was just not a ton of people in there. First, when I got there, it was kind of packed, but it started thinning out after a bit. But just a fair amount of people who were working on the pieces there, because like Ekka's team from Thirsty Suitors was there, including the artists. There's because Thirsty Suitors got into the gallery with the character art designs. So the artist was there, one of the voice actors was there, and then a few PlayStation people were there. Actually got to catch up with Shu for a little bit, which was nice. Talked to Shu, and he had told me that he's been to like 19 different events this year in 9 different countries. And the main goal he has for next year is to get to the countries he couldn't make it to this year. So that's fun. He was telling me about some games he saw in India. He's talking about how India is kind of in this process of there's kind of like a shift in the development over there, and that they've been focused on mobile games, and now they're starting to move into the PC console space. And so he's looking at some stuff over there, and then and then as always, ask for another musical. It's like, when are we gonna do another musical? Because if you're not aware, back at Game Trailers, we did the Bloodborne musical, and Sony will not forget it. Shu and Aram always asking when the next musical is gonna come. Off the top of my head, that's all I can remember. I'm sure I talked to more people at that event, but it was nice. I stayed there basically until they kicked us out. It was so funny because I was talking to John Gibson about some things, and he had somebody else working with him that was kind of doing like a lot of the logistics and legwork stuff. and she came over when we were talking. It's like, okay, we really got to go now. It's like, okay, so I walked out, and then some other people walked out, but John kept talking to other people. So I was like, oh, I thought I was gonna walk out and we'd continue our conversation, but no, we'll talk. I'll talk to John sometime later. Um, but John's really good friends with Jeremy Hoffman, who you may remember or may not remember from game trailers. Jeremy Hoffman was my boss at G4. He was in charge of Game Trailers TV and a lot of the original stuff that we did. Worked with Keeley forever doing E3 stuff and GTTV stuff over the years. Now works for Epic in North Carolina. And Megan Rue and Rohan. Well, Rohan might be somewhere else. And Daniel Kaiser. They're all over there too. I'm trying to remember Rohan, but I think he's in North Carolina. I can't remember if Rohan's with Epic, but I think he is. But yeah, and then I'll get there, Slido. I'm getting there. And then yeah, so the next day was Game Awards proper. And I tried to get there a bit early. I got there like before 3. The doors opened at 3:30, and I just kind of hung out and chatted with who I could chat with. I got to that's when I got to see Hip Hop Gamer, which I'm glad I was there early because I didn't really see him around later. So caught up with Hip Hop Gamer a little bit, and then no, nobody else got to go. There was no plus ones for me. Just the one ticket for Easy Allies, and waited outside for a bit. People, yeah, because of the thing that happened, people were worried about security. But once they open the doors, like you have to go through metal detectors and all that stuff to get into the Microsoft Theater. So there wasn't like, there's no reason to be worried about like weapons there. But still the kid could have done something worse, but he couldn't have gone crazy. But yeah, so went through security and then waited. And what's this about a jug of water? So Huber had to, like, it was right after the doors opened, and I was just in the lobby because there's like they open the front doors, but then they open the inner doors later. And I was in the lobby just kind of like looking around. They had some statues there, and Huber was clearing like a bag of water bottles. Just like the normal 24 packs or whatever, which I think had already been like half emptied. And he was like carrying this thing of water, and he was like, "Blood, take one." I was like, "Okay," so I took one, and then I got in line. And then I sat next to Victor Lucas. From Electric Playground, who, if you're not familiar with Victor or Electric Playground, he is just about as old school as it gets now. Considering that Andy McNamara is left Game Informer, is now at EA, and Andy Eddy, I think, is with some publisher as well. But yeah, Victor Lucas, and Tom Russo, I think, is with Digital Eclipse. But yeah, Victor Lucas, still doing Electric Playground stuff on YouTube, but he's been campaigning to get the show back on TV in Canada. But yeah, so he has always been a super cool dude, super kind dude. I feel like the first time I actually like talked to him was in 2016 at GDC, right before Easy Allies happened. And he came up to me and he took the time to see how I was doing after the layoffs and everything, and to make sure that we're doing good. And he's always been that way. Like anytime if I just pass him at an event, like he'll stop and catch up and give some words of wisdom. I remember at Summer Game Fest he was like telling us in kind of funny, like, if we ever get the chance to buy the property, don't pay rent. I'm like, okay, I don't think we're gonna get that kind of money anytime soon, but thanks for the advice. But anyways, the having him be there next to me at the Game Awards was just perfect though, because we were there for a good while, for probably like an hour or so before the show started, and got to catch up. And then there were some other people that he knew, talking as well, from CNN and some other places. And then, oh yeah, he did a thing with Brandon not that long ago. Um, and then I guess that's a top five of 2020. I thought he did something more recently, but anyways, I remember him doing stuff with Brandon too. Um, but then, yeah, as we were there in the show, it's like we were just able to kind of like talk about the things we were seeing, and and kind of react to things in the downtime. And so it was great to like not have to just like sit there and not have anyone to share the moments with. Um, but being there itself, in the theater itself, was great. Obviously, is just a different sense of energy, um, with all of that right in front of you. Um, I was on the far right, behind, kind of the boom crane arm of one of the main cameras. So I wasn't in a spot where I would have shown up on camera. I was also not that far back, but far enough to where it's like if somebody was, you know, um, coming down out of the aisles, like you wouldn't have been able to identify me out of any of the other like little blob heads in the distance in the dark. Um, but no, I was not sitting next to Kyle. I mean, Kyle was working the show, so Kyle was probably all over the place. He was only in a seat when it was, time for that shot for that gag. Um, but yeah, he was just there for the bit. But but I could see like the little side stage, on the left side of the audience. You could kind of see people coming in and out. You could hear. That's one of the funny things is that like I don't know if it would have picked up on camera. I think I did hear some people mentioning like hearing sounds, but like when people were setting up behind the screen for the next act for like a musical act or whatever, like you could hear them like working back there, and it was even if it picked up on the screen, it was definitely like a lot more noticeable in person. Sorry. Um, and then the trying to think about oh yeah, so and then when they had stuff like when they had commercial breaks, it was interesting because at home there's a lot of times where I'm like when I'm taking notes and I'm like, okay, is this trailer like a trailer or is this a trailer an ad, right? And I think like this year like Wild Hearts is like one of those confusing ones where it's like, okay, they're putting a trailer in the show, but it's in an ad break. It's not in an introduced world premiere, even though Jeff did talk about it afterwards. So it's weird. At home, it's like it's hard for me to tell the difference. Like what is what here, but um, at the show, it's not that hard to tell because at the show, the show trailers were on the big center screen and the ads are on the side screens, only. And so you could very clearly tell, okay, ad break. And then it's also when they allowed people to get up. Well, you could get up at any time and go use the restroom. But when you came back, they didn't let people back to their seats. They kind of held them in the back of the auditorium until the next ad break popped up. So that was another way that you could tell. It was like, all of a sudden, like there's a big rush of people getting back to their seats. I did not get a Grubhub PUBG code. That's okay. Haven't played PUBG in quite a while. Um, but yeah, production-wise, everything went really smoothly in the theater. Um, there was no like, aside from the obvious security not catching that kid, which I don't know how, because the kid was coming from just like a completely different area. Um, but yeah, there were no real issues there. MinMax, hello. Talking about being at the Game Awards last week, right now, at the moment. Ben says build a gingerbread house or else you're a coward. That's fun. Yeah, I might. Who knows? We may or may not do that when we go home. Um, but yeah, so yeah, having had friends that have worked in security that have been, you know, in that world, it's a little wild to me that they didn't catch them. So I don't know. Maybe I'm hoping next year that they'll have whatever they do won't be too intrusive. Like I don't want them to like block off areas or anything like that. Um, but we'll have to see. Maybe like a wristband or something subtle that would make it clear like these people are able to get on stage and these people should not. But, but yeah, so that's definitely the biggest, easily the biggest gaffe at the show, and I feel like it's definitely gotten too much attention. But it's hard not to talk about it because you know, as everyone says, like, well, what else? You know, your imagination starts running away. Um, but what had the biggest reaction at the show? Well, it's funny because I don't know if I could say a big reaction overall because so much of it is industry where I was sitting. Um, but it was so funny because Square Enix people were sitting not too far from me, and you could tell because anytime a Final Fantasy or something would pop up, you could hear them cheer for it. um, so it was like a lot of like favorites would pop up, and you would hear like a section, this section or that section of the audience start cheering, which again is something that you can't tell really on camera. Like you can tell that like somebody cheered, but when you're in person, it's like you know that person over there, and then this person over here, and you know, and kind of just the locationality of it all. Um, Seeing the musical performances stuff in person was great. Um, I enjoyed them. The one that just didn't really hit for me was I mean I liked it, but it was like still sort of why is this happening was Halsey, um, because it's like great costume, great stage setup and everything, and actually it was like surprisingly brief. But I was just like, what does this have to do with Diablo? Like, does this song have anything to do with Diablo? I don't think so. um, but yeah, Armored Core. I'm not an Armored Core fan, but that trailer, like, that was a hype trailer. Gotta say, there's a hype trailer. Was Fluke Eye noticeable from the audience? No, I think that's all camera direction. That was somebody being real smart in that control room, noticing that and putting the focus on that. Um, wasn't the song called Lilith? It is, but I don't know. The bits I could pick up from the lyrics did not seem like they'd have anything to do with Diablo. They seemed like they had to do with her. So I don't know. Do you listen to Halsey's music? Great time for a poll, mods. Thank you. Um, but yeah, the God of War performance I really loved. The Game Awards orchestra is always a weird thing for me when they do the montage because it feels like it's just so quick and so like they make a piece that's blended together like so well that it's actually at times hard for me to like sort of hard to pick up some of the themes of the individual songs. Um, but I am looking forward to that concert in the summer, and I hope I get to go to that. Um, and then the only part muted in the VODs is God of War. Oh, did that got muted? I didn't know they got muted. Crazy. Um, yeah, that song I think is really good. It hits, and it helps that it has the actual like God of War theme and stuff in it. But what else was I gonna say? Oh, I just yeah. What's fun is I have a um, an old friend who I haven't talked to in forever, but he's in that Game Awards orchestra. I don't know how many years he's been in it. I know he was there this year, and I know he was there last year. Um, and maybe it's um, yeah, maybe with the break, maybe he wasn't there before. I'm not sure. I'd have to ask him sometime if I run into him. But yeah, this year he was just in the orchestra. He was right actually like in the flute section, woodwind section. I don't know the proper term for it. I think he was, but he was just like two seats over from Pedro. I think is flute guy's name. And then last year though, he had to last minute actually conduct the orchestra. Something happened where Lauren Balfe had to leave unexpectedly, and he had to fill in. So I remember seeing his post on Facebook about that, which is really, yeah, it's really how I only reason I am aware that he was up there. Well, actually, no. Last year I was like, when we were watching on stream, I was like, wait, it looks like John. Like, like it turned out on Facebook, yeah, that was him. But then afterwards, man, this is cool. This story's going a long time. I probably won't talk too much about the rest of this stuff, but afterwards headed over to a hotel lobby there near the theater where most people were going to be hanging out, and that was pretty packed. A lot of people there, but there's a lot of space there, which is nice because there's like a couple of bars and a patio and stuff, and I caught up with way more people than I could ever try to remember. It was it was fantastic. Like, and I'm probably gonna say this on the podcast as well. Like that and Summer Game Fest, some of my favorite moments of the year because you just get to see everyone and you get to see people that you haven't seen for years, just years and years. Yeah, I got to say hi to Bill Trennan, and I was trying to think about when the last time I actually spoke with Bill Trennan was, and I was like, it's San Diego Comic Con after like Dragon Quest IX came out on the DS. Like it was a long time ago. Um, and and to kind of hammer that point home, he was talking about how like because Jonathan Metz, who you might remember was on a podcast after E3 one year. Um, he's kept in touch with Bill for all this time, and he's a aerospace engineer. And Bill was saying that like his son is getting ready to go to college, and was like asking Johnny all these questions about getting into the industry and courses and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, okay, Bill's son's about to go to college, so um, that's wild. And then, but I caught up with Rob Manuel, who, again, like it's so funny, like people that I worked with for years at like G4 and GT, and then I'm like, I don't know, do you know Rob Manuel? Do you recognize that name? But yeah, he was at G4 with me. He was at Game Trailers with me. Worked on Jeremy Hoffman's team, and worked since then with like USC and a lot of other indie stuff. He's always been a big proponent of indie games, and now he is working with IGN on like an events team or something like that. And dude, that dude is just so chill and so calm and just like so encouraging. It's just like it was like he was giving me a pep talk, and I'm like, I don't know why you feel like you need to give me a pep talk right now. I mean, I was sharing about some of the struggles or whatever, but it's like, oh, it's nice. It's nice stuff. It's nice uh, to be there and to catch up with Rob and to hear the good things he has to say about what Easy Allies is doing. Um, and then, but that room is, and like I said, it was like there's so many people that were there, and like there were people that I didn't walk up to and talk to just because it's like I don't. What am I gonna say? What am I gonna say? uh, because like Sean Layden was there, um, Doug Bowser was in there somewhere. Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond were just hanging out for a long time. Um, and then, oh yeah, IGN, people getting laid off from IGN. Like, that was a huge bummer for all the IGN folks, for sure, obviously. But it's just like, how do you deal with that in the morning and then come and cover the Game Awards and then go out and try to socialize? It just, yeah, it was rough. But yeah, I saw Ryan McCaffrey there. How mad did Phil look? Phil didn't look mad. I didn't catch who Phil was talking to, but yeah, I mean, Phil was just chatting. I didn't go and eavesdrop on his conversation or anything. I just was like, oh, there's Phil. And I was looking for specific people as well that I wanted to catch up with. So that was part of it too. It was like, okay, it's like I want to talk to them, and I want to talk to them, and I want to talk to them. um, saw PR friends that you probably have no reason to know, but people that I hadn't seen for a long time or that I hadn't met in person. Like there's some of the people that I work with in PR, even people I've worked with for years. Like we just email. Maybe once in a while we'll get on a Zoom call, and um, but had never met in person, and so that was cool. Um, and then caught up with Mari Takahashi, who you might be aware of. She was with Smosh Games. Lasercorn was there as well. Just Hirschberger was there too. Um, but yeah, Mari worked with us over at Defy. Um, and then, so talked to her for a good bit. And again, so like, yeah, it's kind of like Rob. It's like she's one of these people that's like, she'll find you. Like you don't need to find her. She'll find you. It's like immediately like, we'll walk up and give you a hug, and it's like, and never mind, like, doesn't assume that you know who she is. It's like, hey, it's Mari. It's like, oh, okay. Like, you know, it's like I would have gotten there, but before I even have a chance to realize who's hugging me right now. um, but just I want to imagine during the after party, Blood walks past Jones and does a double take, and Jones just nods. Yeah, Jones I did not see. I don't think Jones was there. Um, who else? Blessing was there, of course. Old friends from CD Projekt Red were there. I'm not gonna remember everybody. I'm not. There's just so many people. Um, fair amount of folks from Naughty Dog and Respawn that came up and introduced themselves, just because they're Easy Allies fans. It was actually what was funny is there was a person um, from Naughty Dog who was like, it's like we watch your stuff like with lunch every day or whatever. I hope that's not creepy. And I'm like, why would that be creepy? Like that's what you do is you watch a podcast, when you're on break at work. They actually had I guess during the party or whatever they had our Twitch up with the live podcast, um, and uh, and so they had just like whipped out their phone. It's like, yeah, the podcast is still going. I'm like, okay, nice, good to know. I'm not in any rush. I can hang out for a while longer. Um, they have to scan my face in the next game. No, not this time around. Um, one of the people I wanted to see for sure was Mikey Dowling from Obsidian because he's hung out with Huber before. He's done stuff with Huber, and we've interacted on Twitter a lot. But had never met him in person, so I met him, met some of his team. Um, who else was he talking to? I don't see. That's the thing. It's like I ran into so many people, and they're like, if I see their name or if I, but like just off the top of my head, everybody that I would possibly think of. Did I meet Al Pacino? No. There were definitely multiple after parties going on. So like Pacino and Kojima and stuff. I did not see them in the lobby I was at, and then I did see pictures that they had taken later, and I'm not sure where they were. Um, so and then like with Mikey Dowling, I was like looking around, like I was making laps, like where the crap is Mikey? I want to, he said he would be here, and I don't see him, and I texted him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we're just getting dinner right now." And so like that was the thing too. It's like so many people like after the Game Awards, they were just like, "We need to eat." This is a long show. We need to get food, and so a lot of people came over after eating and then hung out. Um, oh, I saw Jason Wishnov there, and that was funny because he was like, "Hey, I want you to meet Blake. He's working on Pacific Drive," and like Blake and I like pretended to like not know each other for a second, but it was hilarious because we had just met at the gallery the night before, and so that was funny. We had a little bit of a joke at Jason's expense, um, but um, but yeah. So uh, Screaming Argonaut. I asked Kyle how they got Pacino, and apparently it was initiated on Pacino's side. Crazy. Yeah, but yeah, even Kyle had said he hadn't gotten to interact with Pacino backstage or anything, right? So interesting. But anyways, I've blathered on for a while. Am I good with remembering names and faces? Yeah, sometimes though I'll have a hard time putting them together. So I'll remember that I met somebody, um, or I'll recognize a face and I'll just be like, I recognize this person, but I don't know who they are. And I think one of them, I didn't talk to him, but one of the people at the in the lobby that was like that was Sam Barlow. I kept seeing him there, and I'm like, dude, that dude looks so familiar, and I can't figure out who he is. And then afterwards, seeing people's like photos and stuff on Twitter, it's like, oh, that was Sam Barlow. But he also reminds me of John Slusser from Game Trailers. They look similar to me, and so that's what was like throwing me off. Anyways, how's the holiday schedule looking in the coming weeks? Yeah, let's change gears. Not much more to say about the lobby. Just great seeing everybody. I left at like 12:45 before I finally started making my way home, and partly because I'm like, I don't know if the parking garage closes. I should maybe maybe get moving here. So yeah, I was there for a good 10 hours overall. So good times. I was trying. I did not have a plus one. No, Mr. Showtime. I was trying to get somebody there for Mysterious Monsters, and I got people that are down. Um, but I won't spoil it because they may or may not come. So I don't want to get anyone's hopes up. I got people that were very excited, but were leaving the next morning, so they couldn't do it. But just yeah, some fun people if they ever get a chance. If we get them in town and Mysterious Monsters happening at the same time, like absolutely they'll be ready to do it. Animal. I did not meet Animal, but I could see from a distance. I could see the puppeteer with Animal, which was fun. I tried to get a shot. It was a terrible photograph, but somebody else got a better photo that was sitting closer. Um, I did not see Jeff. I think Jeff was at a different after party. Or sometimes, I mean, sometimes people would just be there, and I would see them in the distance while I was talking to somebody else. And then by the time that conversation wrapped up and I'd go to try to talk to them, they would just be gone. And so it was like, ah, I want it. Where did they go? And then I would like wander around looking for them, and I couldn't find them. One kind of funny on Mysterious Monsters. Yeah, keep tuned for that. It'll happen. Just say that. Also, I saw a lot of people took pictures with like Harada and was it Harada and Yoshi P that people were getting pictures with? And I think that was like above, like there was like like you've got like the hotel lobby, and then you've got like the mezzanine or whatever that kind of looks down on it, because it is like it looked like it was the same hotel, but it was just a different area than where we were. But anyways, good stuff. Um, really good catching up with it. Oh, I caught up with the Andys. That's one I forgot. Andy McNamara and Andrew Reiner, who both at different times used to head up Game Informer. Yeah, they're having a great time. They're having great times. McNamara is at EA, Reiner is at Gearbox. So, um, yeah, but it's almost noon, so let me try to wrap this up. But just talking about podcast stuff, been grueling like the last 3 4 days working on this podcast because we got to shoot 3 episodes on Wednesday, and it's a lot. It's a lot for me just to like get 1 episode every week. Trying to do 3 at the same time, it's craziness. But most of it's there. Um, I've got all the Dawn Romantica stuff written out. At one point, I was like, okay, maybe I'll just do the bulk of this in 1 episode and then have a follow up on the second. And then by the time I got it written out, I was like, okay, no, I'll actually break this up. I'll actually be able to do this across all 3 episodes. And then, so I got the Dawn Romantica stuff figured out. And what's nice is actually each of those 3 segments I think is fairly different from the ones before. Um, so I'll see how it goes. And I gave it a run through with Bloodwife too, to see what path she would take. Um, but like the ambush, it's very choose your own adventure style. There's just like a whole lot of things there um, that you might never hear. So maybe I'll like release it as a patron bonus or something, so somebody could see the different paths that could have gone down. Um, but that was the first thing I did, and then I worked on the last episode is going to be a year in review, and so the basically I just went through all of my rundowns over the past year and just grabbed highlights. So I actually have like kind of a giant list, um, but some of it like we might just like touch on, some of it we might really talk about. It'll just all be there for reference. But that it's something that seems so simple. It's like, oh yeah, just go through the rundowns and copy paste one to the other. But it's like, no, it's even that takes a long time to dig through and to like make those decisions. And like some podcasts I might not even grab anything from. Some I might grab 1 or 2 things. But yeah. Am I going to hop back into Witcher 3 tomorrow? No, I'm leaving on Thursday and I've got these podcasts and everything. So I don't think I'm going to touch Witcher 3 right away. So who knows if I'll remember when I get back. I'm curious to see how it looks, but I'm also not like champing at the bit or whatever. And then yeah, did the game of the year, and then the love and respect, or not game of the year, the year in review. Um, and then I got the love and respect episode figured out. And basically, the way I did that is I filled in love and respect for the first episode and the last episode, and then you know, and then whatever was like didn't make it into those, I also tossed into the love and respect episode, and then sort of figured out, okay, which of these hard cuts do I want to make, and then how do I like split this up? It's like basically like doing a couple of questions and then a game, and then a couple more questions and another game. Um, and then some more people hopped in, because I said for 2 of the episodes I made a kind of a mistake because I said for 2 episodes that the deadline is today at 2, and then but the love and respect episode I said the deadline was like last night at 6 so I could get it ready, and I think that people are still submitting on both of them, so it was like I'll figure it out. I'll see what I want to add in there that I haven't put in yet. Um, but I saw a lot of stuff got added overnight after I had quote unquote locked it in. Um, but we'll see. We'll see if I throw in a couple more things there. Rebirth Crusader. I've already played Witcher 3 twice. Yeah, same. Same. Because I played, uh, for the review, I played on PS4 debug. And then after it came out, I got it on PC and played through it again on PC. And like, kind of 100%ed it on PC. Did all the side quests and stuff. Which then led me to not recommend people doing that. There's more content in there than you really need to worry about. Even though most of it's good, great and fantastic. Um, I don't feel like it's a game that's meant to be fully exhausted. Um, I don't still have that I played The Witcher 3 shirt. I don't remember what happened to that. I might have given it to somebody. I think I wore it like one time for like a preview or something. Anyways, but yeah, so the only podcast left now is this week's podcast because now I've actually got to figure out headlines. NPDs are in there. Bummer is that with all the nonsense happening on Twitter, Matt Piscatella has left Twitter and deleted everything except a pinned tweet of when the NPDs comes out and some links to other social accounts that didn't actually, that like Twitter broke the links somehow. I don't know exactly what happened, but I had to find Matt Piscatella on LinkedIn to get the NPD updates. But all the past ones from Twitter wiped. He deleted all that stuff. Um, so that sucks. Um, but now I have to remember, and maybe mods or whoever, if any of you guys in chat like see that NPDs are out, then let me know because the schedule is hard to predict. Like some months the NPDs will be out on like the second week of the month. Sometimes it'll be the third. It's just kind of all over the place. Um, but I feel like if you're not paying attention to when he says they're gonna come out, it's a little hard to tell. Um, Probably able to find a link on yeah, Resetter or whatever. Yeah, it's not so much of knowing where to find it; it's remembering when to find it, when to look up those NPDs. So, um, because I don't usually I would see that happen because I was following Piscatella. Um, I don't see a lot of places where they're actually reporting on them. It's just odd because it used to be like a regular thing that I would see people report on. But whatever. Is that it? Is there something else I was going to talk about? Watch that Don's Discount Gaming. Um, yeah, all three of these episodes are not what I would call normal episodes, but I think they're all fun. Great content. And then Achieve It Yourself happening on Wednesdays. Yeah, unfortunately the EZA YouTube it's not Moobot's fault, it's YouTube. The feed is not caught up for whatever reason. Oh, what am I playing right now? Yeah, that was the other thing I was going to talk about, but now it's not really time. But I've been playing Dark Tide just to cool off between these podcast episodes. Having a good time with it. But yeah, thank you to everybody for watching. We'll have Community Showcase. What level is my Psyker now? It is 16, I think. Yeah, I think 16. Um, I think it might be just because of who I was matched with, but I had a weird arc Saturday night where it was like, um, I was doing all right, and I wasn't dying at all, and like then I had a wipe, and it was like after that first wipe, it was just like it was like a sign of things to come because then it was like we just kept wiping like every group that I got in. It's like, oh, we wiped again, or like if we didn't wipe, I was just like having a hard time just surviving. we just get knocked down over and over and over again. But anyways, showcase in 2 hours on this channel. Stick it right here. Be back with Michael Huber and Michael Damiani. And then Hall of Shame tonight on group stream. Good stuff. And thank you to everyone who has subbed today. You can also use a little donation link underneath. But the best way to support us is at patreon.com/easyallies. So please head over there. Consider becoming a monthly patron. And you can get other rewards there as well, which, as the mods are pointing out, you can get in that Discord. It's actually really funny because we keep repeating the Huber knee thing, and now like there are people literally showing up to the Discord asking, "Where's the knee? I want to see this knee everyone's talking about. I want to see the bruise." So I guess it works. I guess it works. But it's a good time. Thank you to everyone for supporting us. We do need it. It is not just bonus money. That is the money that makes everything happen. So please consider supporting us in whichever way makes the most sense to you. And Patreon is the one that is the most effective. But Twitch and direct one-time donations help too. And yeah, it is a pin notification for the future reference in the general channel, I believe. Some people didn't even know there were pins in Discord, so that was fun. It's like, there's pins? Whoa. Yeah. Anyways, good times. I'm going to get back to getting stuff ready for meetings and podcasts and all that good stuff. And I will see you later tonight. Thank you.